You've made it to the end of Unit 1. All the lessons are complete, but you still have some activities to do. The activities are there to make sure you're understanding what is being covered in the videos and to practice and get good at it. The link to this website is under this video. After these videos, you'll see there's some activities down here. The first activity is to get set up. You should have already done this because you should be working along with the videos, not just watching. So you should have already created a Unity account and you should have installed Unity 3D. There's also a little Unity quick guide here. You can click on that. It opens a PDF that you can print out and keep next to your computer, which shows you and reminds you what all the little shortcuts are for navigating a scene and manipulating objects. The next activity you see here is a scavenger hunt. The purpose of this activity is to get you good at navigating the scene and manipulating objects, and to give you kind of a fun way to practice that. If you open up the instructions for that, you can read here and see that the goal is to find these little animals that are all through the scene and place them on the shelf. There's no reason to hit run when you're doing this in Unity because you're just going to be editing the scene. The sheep you can see is already in its proper place, but you have to find these other animals. And there's some rules that you should follow and there's instructions, but with each animal there's a hint. For instance, to find the pig, the hint is enjoying the beautiful day. You'll have to navigate the scene and figure out where that pig is. Once you find him, you'll need to get him placed in that spot on the shelf. After you understand the instructions, you should download the Scavenger Hunt project files. You can see it's downloading here. I'll have to speed up the video because this will take quite a while. It's a fairly large project, as are most Unity projects. The other thing you could do to download it and save it in the appropriate place at the right time is, instead of just clicking on it, which will download to your downloads folder or whatever the default is on your computer, you can right click on it if you're in Chrome and save link as, and then you can choose where to save. You may have noticed that I all of a sudden switched to a Mac. So to complete these activities, I'm working from a Mac instead of a PC, and that's okay. Now, on a Mac, if this little box here is not expanded, then it may be collapsed. It may look like this. So when you want to choose where to save, if it's not in the list here, then you can expand this, and now you can look anywhere on your computer. And I would save it wherever you like that makes sense for your organization. I'm going to say cancel here because I'm already saving it from when I clicked on it the first time. You can see it's still downloading down here, so we'll definitely have to speed this up some. And now it's done. We just want to make sure it's in the spot we want it. I'm going to hit this little 3 dots here at the bottom, where you may know where it is, and you can go to the Finder and find it in your Downloads folder probably. I'm going to click on this little 3 dots and say Show in Finder. And there, that's the only thing in my downloads right now. It is a zip file, and I need to unzip it. If you're on a PC, you can right-click and extract files. Here on a Mac, I can just double-click on the zip file, and you'll see it expand. So now I have the zipped file, which I could delete now, but I would recommend not deleting it, so that if you ever want to start over on this scavenger hunt from scratch, you just have to double click on it again and it will make another copy of the scavenger hunt. And also, this is still inside of downloads, and that's probably not where I want it, so I'm going to drag it wherever I want it to be, and for now I'll just do that to the desktop. So I'm going to drag these over to the desktop and close my Finder window. Okay, so let's go into the scavenger hunt, and the question is, how do we open this project? It's a Unity project. It has all the folder structure we expect, but how do we open it? Well, one way to open it is to go to Unity, open the software first. If you've opened this project before, it'll probably remember what you've opened recently and you'll see it in a list here. But in this case, we haven't opened this project before, so it's not there. What we can do is click the Open button. And what do we open? There's not a single file that we need. We actually need to select a folder. So I'm going to go to my desktop and I see Scavenger Hunt. And I don't try to find a file. I just use that folder and I say open. And that would open your project. I'm going to say cancel here and show you a different way to open the project. I'm going to close this so Unity is not open any longer. What I'm going to do is, through the Finder, I'm going to find a scene. So if I go into my Assets folder of the Scavenger Hunt and I look inside the Scenes folder, and there's a scene. So by opening a scene of this project, it will open the project itself. So if I double click on this, it didn't automatically open, but you see it's now in the list of projects, and if I click on that, it will open up the project. Now I'm going to get a couple messages here, and I want to explain both. The first one is talking about the issue of a different version being used. So the version that I have on this machine is a little different than the version that I had when I actually made the project. It's basically just saying, is it okay if we switch to this newer version and make any changes necessary? I'm going to say, yeah, that's okay, continue. The next message we get is saying the target is about to change. Why is that? Well, the project was made on a PC, so the build target was for a PC. Here I'm on a Mac, so it's saying, can I switch the build target to a Mac? And I'm going to say, yes, switch target. So you may or may not get those messages depending on what version of Unity you're using and what operating system you're using. The first time we open this, it may take a little bit longer than normal. And there it's done. It's saying we could go ahead and get a new version of Unity that's available. I'm just going to say skip new version for now. Notice there's a missing prefab. That is a problem. That missing prefab is actually the house that we should be inside of. Okay, so after that epic fail, I downloaded Unity again to make sure that I had the most recent version of Unity. The problem was that I was going from a Unity project that was newer and trying to open it in an earlier version of Unity. If you start with a project that was made with one version of Unity and then open it in a newer version of Unity, that should work. But if you start with a project that's made with one version of Unity and then open it in an older version of Unity, you're more likely to have issues. Now I have the most recent version of Unity installed, and let's try to open this scene again. There's the scavenger hunt. Again, I'm going to say that yes, I am going to go to a new version, but this time it's going to a newer version of Unity. Again, the importing assets will take a little while, so we'll fast forward this. And now we're done. There are no missing prefabs. Our furniture is there. Our medieval fantasy house is there. We're all in good shape. You should be looking at this scene and just seeing that little sheep and all the missing animals there. When you get started, you should be practicing using these tools up here, but you should use the keyboard shortcuts, the Q, W, E, and R keys to switch between those. You shouldn't use the hierarchy at all. As a matter of fact, if you right-click on the hierarchy tab and say close tab, then you won't be tempted. Same thing with the inspector. To resize objects, we should be using those tools up here. So we do not want the inspector open. I'm going to right click that and say close tab. And I'm going to also close the project window and the console window. Let's try to find the kitten. The clue in the instructions says that it's waiting for us to sleep. Well, if you look around a little bit, you'll realize that you're in the bedroom and the kitten is on the bed. So this one was pretty easy. If I click on the kitten, I've selected it, and I want to move it and put it on the shelf. After I press the W key for the move tool, I could move it using these arrows. Keep moving it and rotating around until you get it where you want it to be a little bit. But you'll notice that the axes for moving it are not parallel with the wall. So you can see if I want to move it directly to the wall, I can't. I can move it this direction or I can move it this direction, but I just can't move it straight. So one of the things you might want to do before moving it is to rotate it so that its axes are straight. The other thing I should mention here is that we don't want to grab it from one of these inside areas to move it around because we have less control over where it's moving. By grabbing a particular axis, we have total control over where it moves. So let's rotate it by pressing the E key. And I'm just going to rotate it. We could put it sideways on the wall or facing forward. I think I'll do sideways with this one. Pressing W gets me back to the move tool, and now you can see that I can move it directly towards the wall. When it finally hits the wall, it'll start to disappear. And that's when we know how deep it is. What I want to do is just pull it out so that it's not in the wall, and that way I know if I need to scale it or anything like that. We want to place it where the kitten belongs, above the shelf, of course. And you can see he's still stuck in the wall there some. I'll pull him out. Let me get a straight-on view of this. Also, you might need to scale it. Some of the animals you find will be way too big or way too small. So to scale it, we just press R. And this time we do not want to grab the outside handles because we'll end up stretching it either vertically or horizontally, and we don't want to do that. So when you're scaling an object, if you don't want to end up stretching it, grab the center, and you can scale all three at the same time. You do a little bit more to get this placed correctly. And there's your first creature.